Imagine this. You finally paid off your mortgage. No more payments, no more debt. It feels like the ultimate financial milestone. But what if that decision costs you $205,639? Not because you did anything wrong, but because you followed the advice given to everybody else. And here's the truth most people never hear. Your mortgage isn't just a debt. It can be one of the most powerful financial tools you have. And in this video, you'll learn why the wealthy rarely rush to pay off their homes. You'll discover the unfair advantage strategy that wealthy use to multiply their net worth, while everyone else rushes to pay off debt. It's not about taking more risk. It's about understanding how money really works and using that knowledge to build long-term wealth on your own terms. In the next few minutes, you'll discover a strategy that turns conventional wisdom on its head and reveals why paying off home early could actually shrink your net. Here's what we're unpacking today. Why the wealthy often keep their mortgages on purpose and how they turn debt into opportunity. The hidden cost of paying off your house too soon and why it could quietly cost you 6 or 7 figures. A smarter way to redirect that money into a tax-free growth strategy that's protected from market risk. And then, before we wrap, you'll learn the number one mistake high-income professionals make with their mortgage that holds back their entire financial future, and how to avoid it with a simple shift most advisors never talk about. If you ever wondered, should I pay off my house or put that money to work? This is the answer you've been waiting for. For decades, you've been told, pay off your house as fast as you can, get out of debt, own it free and clear. It sounds responsible, you feel safe, and emotionally, it's hard to argue with. But here's the part no one tells you. Paying off your mortgage too early could become one of the most expensive financial decisions you ever made. Why? Because in a rush to be debt-free, most people overlook something crucial. They're giving up control, giving up leverage, giving up growth. In other words, paying off your mortgage early is like draining your gas tank before a road trip just to feel safer driving a lighter car. Sure, you shaved off a little weight, but now you're stuck on the side of the road with no fuel to keep going. That's what happens when you send all your extra cash to the bank. You lose your liquidity, your flexibility, and worst of all, your momentum. Because if your mortgage is costing you 4% and you could be earning 7% tax-free, that gap is the profit. So instead of saving $20,000 in interest, you gave up $100,000 in growth. That's not playing it safe. That's your engine turning off on purpose. And I have to be honest with you, I used to believe the traditional advice completely. For years, I was that guy sending every extra dollar to my mortgage. I felt so responsible, so disciplined, so smart. And what I didn't realize was that I was actually working against myself, locking away my highest earning potential into an asset I couldn't touch. It wasn't until I started studying how the wealthy actually manage money that I realized I'd been following advice that feels responsible, looks safe, but limits your future. I wish someone had walked me through this math 10 years earlier, but learning it the hard way is exactly why I'm so passionate about sharing it with you today. So this is the math most people miss. Let's run the numbers. Same income, same monthly commitment, $1,000 a month for 20 years. That's a total of $240,000. Scenario 1, the traditional path. You follow what most advisors recommend. Throw every extra dollar towards your mortgage. After 20 years, your house is paid off. You've saved around $100,000 in interest on a 4% loan. Sounds smart, right? But you have $0 in liquidity, no investment gains, no compounding interest. That money is locked inside your home. It's safe, but it's stuck. Scenario 2, tax-free wealth strategy. Instead of sending extra to the bank, you redirect that same $1,000 a month into a properly structured strategy that earns 7% tax-free with zero downside market risk. After 20 years, you're sitting on $526,000 in tax-free cash value. Of that, over $306,000 is pure growth. The bottom line, the net difference between the two strategies, $205,629 in your favor. Stop. Look at those numbers again. Same effort, same monthly commitment. One path builds stagnant equity. The other one builds liquid, tax-free wealth you can actually use. Most people don't see this because they're focused on eliminating debt. But the wealthy, they focus on maximizing opportunity. And this is the math most people miss. And it's why rushing to pay off your home could be the most expensive peace of mind you'll ever buy. Now that you've seen the math, here's why it works. 2 principles the wealthy use constantly: leverage and liquidity. Let's simplify. Think of your mortgage like owning a rental property. You spend $4 each year on maintenance, but it brings in $7 in income. So would you sell that property just to avoid paying the $4? Of course not. It's making you more than it costs. But that's exactly what happens when you rush to pay off your mortgage. You give up a small expense and lose a much bigger opportunity. And here's the kicker. With the unfair advantage strategy, you're doing it without touching the market and without locking your money away. This is where liquidity matters, because once you send extra payments to your mortgage, that money is gone. You can't access it unless you refinance, take out another loan, or sell the house. Yes, it's equity, but it's not cash. And liquidity means your money stays accessible when you need it the most, for new opportunities, for emergencies, and for tax-free income later in life. The powerful combo: leverage gives you control, liquidity gives you options. And when you combine both inside a strategy that grows tax-free, compounds over time, shields you from market losses, you are not just saving money. You're accelerating your wealth engine without adding risk. Most people never get taught this, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. So quick reality check. How many of you watching this right now are sending extra money to your mortgage company? If that's you, don't worry. I used to do the same thing. But what you're about to learn next will change everything. So if you're not sending extra money to the mortgage company, where should it go? Those who understand how money really works use what I call the unfair advantage strategy. Here's the shift. Instead of locking your dollars inside your house, where they earn nothing, you redirect the same money into a strategy that gives you, number one, tax-free growth linked to a performance of a major market index. Number two, zero downside risk when the market drops. And number three, liquid access to your cash anytime you need it. At its core, this strategy uses a properly structured, max-funded index universal life, IUL, and not for the death benefit, but for its unique ability to grow and access wealth completely tax-free. And here's the key. While your mortgage may cost 3 to 4%, your money inside the unfair advantage strategy can grow at 6 to 8% per year with no taxes and no market losses. That's the spread. That's the edge. And over time, that edge compounds into hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions in extra retirement income. And this isn't about taking more risk. It's about using smarter tools that wealthy have been using for decades. That's what makes it an unfair advantage. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at that the same way again. This strategy isn't just a theory. Since 2017, we've helped over 20,000 families protect their legacy and build real tax-free wealth. And along the way, we earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews. But more importantly, they now sleep better at night, knowing their money is protected, accessible, and working smarter than ever. One of the first questions people ask is, but what if the market crashes? It's a fair concern, especially if you lived through 2008 or 2020. In March 2020, the S&P 500 dropped 34% in just weeks, wiping trillions in retirement savings. But for those using the unfair advantage strategy, not a single dollar was lost. As we touched on earlier, this strategy is not in a market. It's linked to it with a built-in floor of 0%. That means when the market drops, you don't lose a dime. Your worst-case scenario, earning zero, not going backwards. So what does that really mean? No panic selling, no sleepless nights, not just a few more years before retirement. While others are riding the roller coaster, you're growing steadily, tax-free, and without the crashes. This is what sets the unfair advantage strategy apart. Growth when markets rise, and protection when they fall. Liquidity when it matters the most. That's not theory. That's structural safety for people who cannot afford to lose what they built over years. Let's go back to the traditional path, paying off your mortgage as quickly as possible. On the surface, it feels smart, responsible, even freeing. But here's what actually happens when you send those extra payments to the bank. Number one, you lose liquidity. That money is now trapped in your walls. Needed later, you'll have to refinance, take out a loan, or sell a house. Number two, you lose tax advantages. In many cases, you wipe out one of your largest deductions, meaning more of your income gets taxed. Number three, you lose growth. That money is no longer compounding for your future. It's sitting idle, earning nothing. So yes, your home is paid off. But at what cost? You've given up control, you've sacrificed flexibility, and you traded a long-term wealth engine for short-term peace of mind. That's not financial freedom. That's financial friction, disguised as safety. Because the real goal isn't just to be debt-free on paper. It's to be in a position where you could eliminate debt anytime you want, without giving up growth, access, or opportunity. That's the power of the unfair advantage strategy. It puts you in control, not the bank. You've seen the math, you understand the strategy, but behind the numbers are real people. High-income professionals who choose a smarter path. Some use the unfair advantage to fund their kids' college without touching their retirement. Others use it to seize new investment opportunities without borrowing from a bank. And many, they finally had confidence, not just in their accounts, but in their future. They didn't just pay off debt, they built freedom on their own terms. Here's the question for you. What would you do with an extra $205,000 in retirement? Travel? Help your kids? Start a business? Think about that. Well, I'll show you the next part. Imagine it's 20 years from now. You're sitting in your favorite chair, looking at your financial statements. You see $526,000 in tax-free cash value you can access anytime. Your mortgage, still there, still working for you. Your stress about money, gone. Your options for retirement, unlimited. The question isn't whether this strategy works. The math proves it does. The question is, are you willing to think differently about what the safe really means? Because everything you want financially is on the other side of that decision. If you're earning $150,000 or more, and you're ready to think like the wealthy instead of like everyone else, then now is the time to take the next step. Start with our free IUL Custom GPT. It's an interactive AI tool built to answer your questions, explain how this strategy works in more detail, and help you explore if it fits your financial goals. Or if you're ready for a deeper dive, watch our most viewed video, What is an IUL? Indexed Universal Life Explained for Beginners. In that video, we walk through real policy illustrations, tax-free income strategies, and how high-income professionals are using the unfair advantage strategy to create long-term financial flexibility. Both links are below in the description. No pressure, no hype, just clarity, answers, and strategy built for professionals just like you. Because once you understand how the unfair advantage strategy really works, you'll never look at debt-free the same way again. And remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. Enjoy the ride.